Dr. Anthony Ventura Bouwer was born in Kroonstad, the former Orange Free State, decades ago. He completed his doctorate degree at the University of Free State with a focus in education. He worked as an educator and later became the district inspector. His passion for youth development led him to starting a soccer team for youth between ages of 15 and 30 to take them off the streets. Dr. Anthony Ventura Bouwer is currently involved in community development to improve the quality of lives of disadvantaged communities. The book brings together the good and the bad, the sweet and the bitter moments of his life as well as his posterity. It is about chances, choices and change. The reader will notice the choices and chances he took in his life, at times not the best of them, and also finding ways of adjusting to situations. He believes that moving out of your comfort zone means taking or making choices. In life you will realize that there is a purpose for every person you meet. Never regret knowing someone. Good people will give you happiness, bad people will give you lessons, and best people will give you memories. God does not bring the people we want, but the people we need. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Anthony Ventura Bouwer. Dr. Anthony Bouwer, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
Awesome. It's good to have you. It's really an honor to have you. I grew up in front of you, you know me. Since I was a minor, I remember the last memory I have of you was school principal.
Yeah.
That was the last time, and then after that you left Kroonstad and you went on about it. So we're going to talk about it in a moment. But who is Anthony? Is it Ventura?
Yep.
Anthony Ventura Bouwer.
Brian, thank you, man. But I also have quite a lot of respect for you. You know, I always say that seeing you, I see somebody who understands what entrepreneurship is.
Wow.
Because I think the biggest challenge that we have in our youth, in our community, in our flight is people just giving up. And I like people who actually go for it.
Sure. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Coming back to myself, well, Anthony Ventura Bouwer, born in a township. And I tend to say to people, I'm born at 62A location. And people, time and time, they don't understand.
Yes,
and I give them even the precise location.
Yes.
I would say Binda Street.
Sure.
And I think, let me just read what I want to say.
Okay.
And I want to, and this might actually close who I am on page 102. It says, the one thing I can say unapologetically is that life in the township was free and happy. The streets, and that is 62A Binda Street, the streets were not tarred, but they were always full of happy children. We did not have electricity. Even I was born in a house where we had some business. And sometimes, therefore, I would never say to people that we were poor. We were not poor. But even then, us having a shop, we did not have electricity. We were playing under the moonlight, in the streets. We were free. We did not have flush toilets and water in our yards. But that did not bother us. Fetching water was sort of a chore that we had to do, part of it. We played in different languages, and I'm saying this because the community where I lived, we were actually mixed, You had the Afrikaans group, which were referred to as coloureds. Then you have the African group, and therefore, whatever we played and how we played was in different languages. But that never bothered us because we were children, and that's what one would want to see. Stress-free children. We did not have much, but shared our food. And actually, I learned my values from my humble beginnings of the location in Binda Street, which the street is actually named after a good man who contributed immensely towards the development. And I'm saying this because it actually encompasses who I am. I also tend to say that it takes a village, actually.
To grow a child.
Yeah.
I think I heard you say that before.
Yeah. And it's because family, and I'm saying we played in different languages, We did a lot of things together. And in a way, I think it's those women within the location, it's those women within Brain Park who, time and time, I go back, and I just appreciate what they actually contributed into my life.
That's true.
And importantly so, because I think when I did wrong, I would never go home and say, because I knew I would get a idea. And it was also easy for them to say, but, and now, why are you doing it? What are you doing? But now of late, it's difficult for parents to actually take up that position.
It is different. Yeah.
And even to say something to somebody else's child.
Yeah.
Even your own family members are also finding it difficult to talk to the cousins' children, And I think that's what we have lost. And that's what we need to move towards. Yeah. Finally, I see myself as a development activist. I tend to use the terminology development activist.
Yes.
And if you go and you read about it, it's actually people who would go out of their way to see development taking place.
It sounds awesome.
And,
The
they
term
get
itself.
excited. They get excited
Activist,
when they
activist,
change, when they touch lives.
True.
And that's who I am.
Wow. So something I want to ask you while you're talking about growing up in childhood, and so did you always see yourself to be where you are right now? Did you always have that in you, or did you see something happening in your community and said, I want to change this one day?
It's interesting. Even when you look at the book and you read through the book, you'll find out that as a child, one of the things that I always wanted to be, I'm not sure, I always wanted to be a leader. We would play school, and as we play, I would always want to be the principal.
That's early.
And I think those are the things that pushed me. But also the values inculcated by my grandfather. And I must say I was fortunate having him as a grandfather. I grew up without knowing my father, which sometimes it's a question of identity. So there's one part of my identity that I cannot talk about because I don't have any background around it. And the role that my grandfather actually played was to close that gap. And I think that is why the values that were instilled within me took over.
Yeah. So if there's a young man sitting there, maybe in grade 8, grade 11 or something that might relate with you at the moment, what can you remember something that you had to do practically that worked towards your leadership role that you wanted to become?
The one thing that I think we need to do is to take a posture that says, I want to lead. And within the colored community, I tend to feel or see that it's a community that is not taking over what they need to take over. We like in the middle, we like, should I or should I not? And for me, I think it's taking control of your own circumstances, number one.
Yes.
Number two is pushing to what you want to be in life. Number three is to sort of put in place what we would call your hurdles, the things that you know that here I would be in a position to reach this, I can jump over it. So there must be goals that you set aside for yourself and plan with the end in mind,
Yes.
When I was involved in youth, I used to say to them, you move. It's difficult to get that side. And when you get to the door and you just turn around, instead of just putting your hand on the handle and sort of just turn it.
Take the chance.
And then you'll see you on the other side, So sometimes because of all these things that happens along this road, you tend to give up too easy. So what I would say to young people, it's never give up. Push and have the end in mind.
Exactly. Something I want to just a little bit of a fast forward. Because we are a kind of a community, whether it's colored and blacks and so on, we have that thing whereby I got this job and I worked hard to get here. I'm not going to leave it because I just want to focus on feeding my family. But you went away in the middle while somebody thought they were settling in teaching. You were like, no, this is not for me. I need to go further. What made you change it? Was it always the leadership thing that you wanted to follow? Or did you always know there's something bigger? You don't know what it is, or did you exactly know what it was?
I think it's interesting. You must read the book, Who Moved My Cheese. It's a book that actually pushed me. Wow. Because I realized sometimes we are in the comfort zone and we want to be in that comfort zone. The reason why I say I respect you is because you could have stayed in Brent Park for the rest of your life, and you could have stayed and finally become morose, become despondent.
Yes.
But what you did is you moved out of it. And I think that is important. Sometimes we're too comfortable where we find ourselves. It's not that I was too comfortable, but I think there was a feeling that said, I've contributed, If you have contributed, then move to the next, move to the next, move to the next. If you don't do that, you will never grow.
It's true.
And what it did actually, it assisted me to understand life. I'm sure if I ask you something about life, Brent Park life, and I ask you about life,
yes.
You'd be in a better position to say, but this is what I've seen, and this is how I've grown. Whereas when you look at people who are in the comfort zone, who's been there in Brent Park for some time, it's actually difficult for them to move.
Yes.
It's difficult for them to understand certain things.
And it comes back to the door.
The door, yeah.
The door,
yeah.
Wow. So you have, I think you've launched a book, something that you tried to put together many years ago when I was still in Kroonstad. I remember it was also about Brent Park or something.
Oh.
It was also about Brent Park. I remember you had a projector up at the hall and so on. What was the idea behind it? I was there. I think I took some video of it or something when I started my video business as well. Can you maybe just give us a short background of what moved you to do it?
I think it was giving back also. It was about this an end. Philip.
Yes.
Crutch.
Crutch, yeah.
And what the crutch actually did, it's this feeling that sometimes those unsung heroes, and I just felt that Mrs. Marai was one of those people who started my journey with me. If she wasn't there, I'm sure I wouldn't have been where I am.
Exactly.
And it was sort of saying, let's appreciate what she's contributed towards the Brent Park community. A lot of, because it was the only crèche that we had.
Oh.
And since the beginning, she's been there.
Wow.
Until she passed on.
So when everybody moved from a location to
Brent
Park, it was like the first.
Yeah, that was the first crèche that you had. So, and that's where I come when I say the women of the village within the community, they actually assist with children, because what happened through that program is they had this women who decided that they need to sell, cake, sell, have they had these prizes that you could win. They were raising actually money, and this money that they raised was towards this crèche, because they started in a shack.
Yeah.
And through her, concerts that she was doing with all these women, somebody that I always also want to go back and acknowledge is Mr. Abel, who was the first principal also at the school. Because I think he was a formidable pianist and musician. And what they used to do, they used to sing, have these concerts, raise funds, and finally the crèche was there. So we all went through it.
Oh, wow.
And what was bad about it is that she never received a pension. You know, in government, you'd have this pension that you'd get back, but she never had. And for all those years, she actually lived on the contribution that were made by our parents towards her salary.
And then when it stopped, everything stopped.
It stopped.
Financial
Yeah, yeah.
It's
it was a
hard,
feeling.
yeah.
We actually commanded a lot of the old students and decided this is what we want to do for her.
Yes,
And just to
yes.
say thank you to her.
That's a nice initiative. So this book, if somebody has to take it and read it, what can you walk away with? Are we just going to know about what you went through, or is there something that you can give? Because it says changes, choices, chances, choices, and change. Is it basically your testimony about?
You can put it that way. But it's also, for me, it's also a teaching.
A teaching.
That you should actually not stay. It brings me back to your comfort zone.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Because I saw a lot of that in here.
Yeah, because when you look at it, there was a reason why I said triple C, which is chances, which is choices, and which is change. And what I've found out is that unless you take the chance, and when there are chances around you, you will not develop, you will not grow. So I'm saying, take that chance, you know. And second, as you see the chance, make a choice, you know.
Yes.
And sometimes we make choices that are not good for us. And if they are not good for us, it's how we learn.
Yes.
Because the next time when it comes again, I mean, you'll do it better.
True.
You'll improve on it.
True.
And it brings about success into your life.
It does.
But then change is important, because I think when you're on a journey of life, it is never the same. Time and time you come to a stop where you need to look at yourself, where you need to take bad course, if you want to call it bad course, and then take the next lap. And that is important in our life. Otherwise, you will never grow. So the three words is actually referring to those three things that I think are very critical in our lives.
Exactly.
Move out of the comfort zone.
Yes. All right. Something I like about here at the back, it says, never regret knowing someone. Bad people will give you lessons, and the best people will give you memories. And it continues to say, God does not bring the people you want, but the people you need. I love that so much, because we are so sensitive towards some kind of corrections, and maybe where we don't get enough applause and stuff like that. It really, because when I read it, in my mind was bad people will give you issues. That's what my next word that I wanted to add there. But I saw lessons. How can you explain that? How can you encourage somebody by saying that?
You know, the biggest challenge that we have is to complain. To always complain. And something bad happens to you, you know, you spend so much time on the bad things that happens to you. So much time that you also become a bad person.
Yes.
Because you have not learned to live beyond that. So for me, when you look at the word being the bad side of it, it should rather be a lesson that says, next time, this is how I'm going to handle it. You know, bring the positive side of it. We tend to think negative, you know. And that's why, as a society, as a country, the messages that you get on a daily basis, it's negative messages. And until such time that we can change that into a positive reaction, we will remain being negative.
That's true.
And I've taken a decision in life that it's fine if these things are happening to me. It's fine. It's okay.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
But there are positive things. You know. Or let me change this into a positive reaction.
Because lesson basically means you learn from.
You learn from that.
And it also takes somebody with that kind of perseverance, saying I'm gonna get out of my comfort zone. I've learned it went wrong. I need to move forward. I need to move forward. What do you think is the situation or the problem that we have with our young people today with all the information that we have? They have it a click away or a scroll away, different from yours. Because I've asked my previous guest on episode 1 about the difference between young people now with technology and young people in the past. But the question is not directly like that. I just want to know, what does it do to us as young people that needs to start with something? Because I think the reason I'm asking this is you guys or the generation before you, they didn't have too many options. There was an industrial area that they need to go into, work for their family and come back. Nowadays we start something and then when I scroll through Facebook, I see, hey, this guy is doing this thing. I wonder how much he makes per month. Let me try it as well. So we jump, around from career to career. How can we change that? Is that maybe the problem where we have somebody that wants to do things in their lives? They are pursuing, they came out of their comfort zone, but then running around after wind.
I don't think I have a problem with people moving and running around, because part of it, it's how you also skill yourself.
Okay.
Because in the past, we used to know that if you qualify as a teacher, you'll also die as a teacher.
Yes, that's what I meant earlier.
And it doesn't bring growth to you. But if you move around, even when you apply for jobs in business, they'd rather take somebody who has got a lot of experience in different areas, because it makes it easier for them to run the company than have somebody who has specialized only in one.
Okay.
So for me, the second thing that I think that's a big gap, and especially with the South African child, it's understanding the fourth industrial revolution. And you're right, because information is no more the be all and end all of an individual. I'm sitting here with you with a doctorate.
Yes.
But I learn every day.
Yes. That's what I like about you.
Yeah. And what's important about it is that information is readily available. But what we need is people who facilitate that information. So for me, in the fourth industrial revolution, when you talk about it, it means how do we digitize? And that is going to be the field in which we should go. And the challenge that we have, and let me go to Brand Park, is how computer literate are we?
Yeah, that's the main thing.
I want to give you an example. When my daughter did matric, she did not have CAT, which is computer application, whatever they call it.
Yes.
And she did physics. And she didn't want to do physics in matric because she was struggling. In her matric year, she changed to do CAT.
Yeah.
Never done it, but she passed it very well. And I was saying why it happened with her is because at home we've got a computer. She's been using the computer for some time, So she had at least that experience. Now tell me, what about somebody who doesn't have it all?
Exactly.
And that's why you could see the difference in results. In schools where children are doing CAT and they do have a computer at home or a laptop, and those who don't have.
Only sees a computer at school.
At school. So that's the gap that I think that we have. And that gap is actually, it's dangerous. Because it's not opening up opportunities for our kids. And when you go back to a colored community in Brand Park, is that not what's also the biggest challenge?
Exactly.
And it's like they're afraid to get out, and it's afraid to chance things. And I think that is actually what is the biggest challenge that I see within the community, and I would love to get to a stage where they just move out of that, where they just get involved in these things, where they understand that they can develop. I mean, you can develop an app, but if you don't have, access to internet and to a computer, how would you? Yes. And that is a new language.
That is a new language. I remember you were part of in your development journey. You were part of Jalapeno.
Yeah.
In some point, and I think you just left when I don't know who was before, Henry Rousseau or you, where I was doing end user computing. And to just come back to that example that you made about the child that grew up with a computer and the one that they didn't. I did that there, and then I still didn't know a lot. I had to buy my own. My brother had to buy me a computer, old fat screen, to be able to do what I can do now. You understand? So yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. So imagine if you don't have CAT in school and you still can't, you can't continue with it after school. It's really difficult.
And that is the problem of the country, eh? Because most of your black schools or it's no more black schools. We are all integrated. But most of your township schools.
Yeah.
Would have that challenge, and I'm actually excited with what the MEC in Gauteng is doing.
Okay.
Making sure that they give laptops and they give these to kids to use.
Yes.
But also
make sure our children don't become DJs in school.
but also what's important about it, it's you must also have your parameters. Because they can use it for something else.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So those are some of the things that you need to put in place for it. But I think the new language is really a digital language.
Yes.
And I mean, you see Standard Bank is closing a lot of their branches, and the expectation is people would actually use your
online banking.
Internet and do online banking, and so and they'll use the handsets that they have.
Yes, that's true.
What about those who don't have?
What
about those poor communities
and don't even understand
things and don't understand?
I mean, small things where you stand at an ATM, there's always one person that will say, "Come help me." It starts there. How can you change somebody's mind through this book? Is there some kind of launch thing that you do, or go around and have sessions, or are you still working on that? I think you started a company under Change something. Can you maybe talk about that, and maybe something that you can mention if you can?
Yeah, Brian, the one thing that I love to do is to move with time.
Okay.
I think when I look at my journey, is to move with time, and it's because I don't want to be stagnant in life. And part of it was actually to start this company with my daughters. And basically, when we started this, the intention is to assist. The one is doing tutoring and to assist actually the children from Brent Park with maths.
Yes.
And the key is how to digitize mathematics, because what they would say is information is readily available. If children know how to pick up information and to assist them, it will be better. And what we found out is that most of our children struggle with mathematics. Instead, they would prefer to do maths literacy. Okay. And you actually want them to do maths. Because maths actually helps them to think. It also helps them to question certain things. But it also forces them to be disciplined, because when you do maths, you must do it every day. Sure. So the intention was to do that in the company. And because I'm old age when it comes to education, so Janine is actually somebody who, she just loves, she's got passion for teaching and for maths, and she tends to say, Daddy, why I'm doing this, it's because I know I struggled at primary school.
Wow.
And I know that when I started to have these extra classes, it improved my quality and my work,
That's powerful.
And I understand where are the challenges in maths. So I want to bring that back.
Yeah.
And that was the purpose of the company. But the second thing about the company, it's Janice, and well, she's done production, TV production, she's done, and the intention was, instead of wanting to work for somebody, why don't you start your own business and become an entrepreneur? So that is the push.
That's the push, yeah.
And then what I would be doing, obviously, it's change management, talk around development, assist NGOs and community-based organizations in terms of getting them.
And I mean, you have the experience over the years.
And so that's the intention. Yeah. So, and that's where the C comes in. The change is imminent. We want to touch organizations, we want to touch businesses, we want to touch people, to bring about change. So that was the purpose of the company. We're still in our baby stage, and I know we will grow.
You will grow, yeah.
Yeah, but then as I'm saying that the book Triple C was actually also supported by Ankie Kroch.
Seriously?
If you know Ankie Kroch, yeah.
Yes, I've heard a lot.
And there's a good relationship that we had, and part of it was while I was writing this, she was telling me, why don't you close this? Why are you saying this? Why are you saying that? And part of it, the first stanza that I read in the beginning was actually what she said. She said, but every time when I hear people talking around when they lived mixed in a mixed community, there's always negativity coming out. And when I read your book, it's like the positive, the good things that came out from that humble beginnings, in a community. And that actually inspired the stanza that I read earlier on. But the purpose is also I'm biased towards the colored townships, and I don't want to say colored community, but colored townships, because in most of them that I've gone to, there's this feeling of, we're not worth. This feeling of we are rejected. And even when you go into these colored townships, you don't see much development that has taken place since the dawn of the new.
And all our people do is get angry and
they get
make
angry and
things worse.
That's actually so. The intention is also to say, hey, I know you might have an identity crisis. You might not know whether you are colored or you're not colored, but as a community, walk straight. There are so much things that's out there. You need actually to go and push and take it.
It's powerful. It's powerful. If somebody is to watch this now and interested in, they are maybe the same as one of your daughters with some kind of skill in another city, would you be able to start at the moment if somebody calls and say, "Young, I would like to do that under the umbrella of is it change, ne? Yeah, is there a possibility like that, or can I share your information and you can just see if it's possible to do that?
Yeah.
Outside of Prime Park, for example.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
Yeah.
I think that's the intention. I think it's also trying to let the fire burn, throughout the country.
Yes.
And we will be. I don't think that's a challenge. We will be.
That'll be great.
And yeah.
That'll be great.
Even doing some motivational, talk around.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I think
yes.
we are.
All right. So, may God bless you. Please continue to do what you're doing, and we're looking up to you. Thank you so much.
I'm inspired.
Thank you, sir. So any that 1 minute, just look into the camera and just speak to the young person that is watching it that feels discouraged.
Never be discouraged. I think what life tends to provide us is an opportunity which you need to take. Never feel that you can't. It is within you. And I actually want to use a scripture when Moses said to God, "How are they going to believe me?" And he said to him, "Moses, what do you have in your hand? And I'm saying to you as a young person, what do you have in your hand? And use that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.